Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. We are here in the hangar of the game, you know, the normal hangar. And we're going to talk about some options of aircraft that, in my personal opinion, let me be clear about this, my personal opinion, should be getting new missiles, or aka the AIM-9Ms, the R-73s, maybe some others that we're going to talk about as well. And together with that, remember, I am all for a new BR for these aircraft that would receive those depending on the situation. So let's just start with an example and then I can already talk about it. The F-16A ADF is a very clear one. It's an aircraft that in the future will receive the AIM-120. So it's an aircraft that will already be more advanced than it is right now when it gets the AIM-120 in the future. At least I hope it gets the AIM-120 when it gets to the game, right? So adding the AIM-9M to it would be just a logical progression to the F-16, right? Of course, this would create a bigger BR compression problem that we already have in the game, but it would be even worse because you would see some 11.0s seeing AIM-9Ms, which is probably what Gaijin is trying to avoid. So of course, maybe the BR should be changed. But nonetheless, if it stays on 12.0 or 12.3, I still think that it should get the AIM-9M. Okay? The second aircraft is, of course, the F-16A Block 10. It's an aircraft that is more used for air-to-ground, but still it is on the same level that it is an 80s aircraft. It will never receive the AIM-120, so it probably will never see an increase in BR. But the AIM-9M would be an amazing weapon for this aircraft to defend itself against the new aircraft that are already being added right now, but in the future as well, to defend itself against the AIM-120s and Fox 3s and stuff. It would help this aircraft be a ground attacker a little bit more. So this shoe, I think, should be getting the AIM-9Ms. Okay, then we go for the F-14s. Of course, the F-14A is an aircraft that I don't think it needs the AIM-9M. You know, they are going for a lower tier aircraft over here, no matter what, you know. Maybe in the future the AIM-9L would be something here, you know, being a more of a late variant of the F-14A with the AIM-9L, maybe AIM-7M or something like that. Maybe even an upgrade for you to actually carry the TCS or something like that, and be the F-14 that you can actually upgrade over time, being a more of like 80s, early 80s version of it. But no A9 will probably ever be added to the F-14A. But for the F-14B, I think it would be a very interesting option. Why? Because with the new RWRs, the Phoenix missile will be a lot less effective. People will know that the Phoenix is coming for them. So I think that these aircraft will have a little bit of a less effective BVR web loadout, you know, than it used to have. Of course, it can never carry the AIM-120, and also it only uses the AIM-7, you know, together with AIM-9Ls. So having the AIM-9M over here would be kind of helping the F-14 be competitive enough to be added or to be used throughout the future of War Thunder. Okay, of course, Germany. We have not a lot of options over here. One of them obviously being the MiG-29. The MiG-29 is an aircraft that is, you know, overall already going to be one of the most powerful aircraft in the game. It already is one of those. And the SMT is getting the R-73s, but they're not adding the R-73s for these other nations. Particularly the German ones never used the R-73 properly. They were starting to receive these missiles, but still, they never actually got into full service, if I'm not mistaken. Which means that the R-60 would be the more realistic missile for this aircraft, but of course, we already have the ER on it and stuff, so that historical talk is kind of a no talk, you know, it doesn't matter. The R-73 will probably be added eventually anyway for the MiG-29. Maybe having a better, higher BR would be interesting to see it in it. But yes, the MiG-29 probably should be receiving the R-73. An aircraft that I don't know if you should or not, but I have a feeling that this aircraft faces a lot of top-tier aircraft. So adding the AIM-9Ms, especially in an aircraft that only carry 2 missiles, and especially an aircraft that is basically a bomber that cannot turn at all, and it's not that fast even to escape missiles and other targets. The AIM-9M would be a very interesting addition for the Tornadoes. The IDS for the Germans is at 11.3 over here, so I mean, AIM-9Ms would be an interesting option for it. The Tornado IDS for the Marine Flieger, I don't know, because it is a 11.0 aircraft, so it might receive a new BR if it gets those missiles, but still, it would be an interesting option. Of course, they need to be careful, because 10.3 is facing AIM-9Ms should not be the coolest thing ever, so this should be kind of in the maybe consideration. Okay, then of course we have the MiG-23. We have 2 aircraft that are already confirmed to receive those. It's the Su-25T and the Su-39, obviously, and then we have the 3 ones that I think should receive it. Maybe not right now, but in the soonish future. The MiG-29 same as the German one, maybe not right now, or maybe at least with an increase in the BR, but the MiG-29, the 913 should receive it. The MiG-23 MLD, one of the main features of this aircraft was the ability to carry 2 R-73s down here. Of course, I really should consider that it needs a new BR if that happens, so 11.7 or even higher. The R-24 is an amazing BVR missile. Of course, the radar is a little bit problematic to use. Sometimes it doesn't have the most amount of range. It's not a full pulse Doppler radar, but the R-24s, they compensate for that, being one of the best BVR missiles in these higher tiers without being the top Sparrows and the top R-27s, right? So, or even the Super 530, I would say, but still, it is a pretty good missile that can be used correctly. If it used correctly, it's an amazing weapon. Together with 2 R-73s, it would be an amazing aircraft. If the gap between these 2 MiG-23s are too big, maybe in the future they can add another one like the MiG-23 sorry, or the P or something like that could carry just their 60s and stuff. And of course, the Yak-141, an aircraft that doesn't have the most capable arsenal ever in the sense of being good in everything. You know, you can only carry 2 R-60s, so 2 R-73s would severely increase this aircraft's ability to defend itself. Not that it needs, but if we are going to do this jump for all the nations, I think it would be cool to see it in it as well. Remember, guys, I'm talking about the US and the USSR, not that they need these missiles, but if everybody receives these missiles, I don't see why not. That's the point, okay? The UK is the most problematic, nation in here. First of all, at least for the FGR-2, which is an aircraft that I'm pretty sure used the AIM-9L, it should be getting the AIM-9L, but I'm pretty sure this aircraft also might have received the AIM-9Ms. I couldn't confirm it, but it might have received. So the Phantom FGR-2 receiving a missile such as this, as I said, 11.3s receiving those are problematic because they are in the middle of the matchmaking between being too advanced of a missile to actually fight 10.3s and lacking too much while fighting top tiers if they don't get it. So it's a complicated BR to actually balance things out. But this aircraft is pretty much dead if he faces top tiers. The FG-1 as well, obviously, but I'm pretty sure the FG-1 never used an AIM-9L or something like that. So the FGR-2 is more confirmed. So we should be getting at least the AIM-9L, on these BRs. The Tornado F3, of course, another example. I mean, you can only carry 4 of them anyway, and you have a very lacking maneuverability and stuff. Maybe it would be, I mean, this is an aircraft that could well receive the AIM-9L and just test it out, see how it goes. If it's too OP, they remove it or increase the BR. If they don't, just remain in 11.3 with the AIM-9Ms. But this aircraft suffers the same problem as the Phantom. It will severely be lacking against the top tiers, but being very OP against the down tiers. So it's problematic, but still. Harrier GR7, of course, will receive it, and the Tornado GR1 is the same kind of level of the IDS that we already talked about it, okay? Japan, of course, we have a different missile here. First of all, the F-16AJ could receive, in theory, I mean, it's already kind of a paperish aircraft anyway, but if they want to, they could add this the AIM-9M for it anyway. But the Kai is an interesting one because the Japanese never used the AIM-9M on it, or in any aircraft if I'm not mistaken, but there is the AAM-3, a missile developed in the Japanese soil, and it is very similar in performance as the AIM-9L, with better guidance sections and IRCCMs and stuff, in theory at least. It's very hard to find information on that missile, but I mean, it would be cool to see a Japanese own-made missile in a Japanese aircraft, right? So maybe the AAM-3 on this one, and maybe the AIM-9M on the F-16AJ. Here we have two other aircraft that I think should receive new missiles. First of all, the F-16A MLU, same principle as the ADF. It will be one of the most advanced aircraft in the soonish future when it receives the AIM-120s anyway. You know, so having the AIM-9Ms, especially in a country that is not receiving another aircraft right now, would make it a lot better to fight the new aircraft. Maybe an increasing BR. It is very, I mean, it's pretty much an F-16C, right? It's a Block 20. It's almost an F-16C. So with the new weapon systems, when it gets the AIM-120 and with the addition of AIM-9Ms, it would be a very deadly opponent and a very cool aircraft to actually fly. The J8 is another example, but here we have a different situation. Right now, there isn't much of an option beyond the PL8B. So the PL8B is basically an upgraded model to the PL8. According to most sources, it has a better IRCCM than the original Pythons, right? So it would be basically the same missile, but with a better IRCCM. That would mean that finally China would receive a properly missile in the IRCCM department if it doesn't get the AIM-9M on the F-16 MLU, so it would be very cool. In the Italian Tech 3, of course, we see the same thing going for the rank 8. Of course, F-16 ADF, same level of treatment as the other F-16s, AIM-9Ms. The Tornado ADV, if it gets it, same thing as the British one. Test it out, see how it goes. If it's too OP, increase the BR or remove it. If it's not OP, just remain at 11.3. Worse than that, it cannot be, right? And the IDS is the same, 11.3 with two AIM-9Ms. I don't think it would be too big of a deal. Another aircraft that in theory could receive this is the ASA. I don't know if this aircraft actually used the AIM-9M, but it's an aircraft that can suffer in the up tiers. It's the same principle as the Tornado. It suffers when it's an up tier. It can, I mean, it will not stomp, but it will be kind of good when in a down tier. So this BR is very hard to actually balance because of these little thing, but still it's an option. I don't know if you should get it, but still. Then we go for the Mirages. The Mirages, or the French aircraft, we have a problem. There is no missile to be added, for now at least. Unless they want to add the Mika for the 5F, which I really doubt that we will see that, so let's just forget about that instance a little bit. Maybe if the Python 4 is added, adding the Mika IR would be an option, but we don't even know if the Python 4 is going to be added, right? So let's just consider the MatAWG will be the main missile. At least fix the IRCCM of it, that according to some sources is wrong. If they do that, it will be one of the most deadly missiles for a short range engagement. It turns 35 Gs and it is amazingly fast to get a target or an aircraft, such as any aircraft actually, but still. It would be an option. But of course, we can have the Mika as well if other more advanced missiles are added. But I don't know. I don't feel like that's going to happen anyway. So there is that. And if they fix all the MatAWG 2s, of course, all the aircraft that get the MatAWG 2 would get the buff. And according, to the performance of it and the stats and stuff of the aircraft, we could see some BR changing over here. Of course, in this situation of the UK, for example, and even Germany, I'm pretty sure, there are some instances where they actually upgraded original AIM-9Ls, okay guys? So just remember that. So both the British and the Germans, they had their own versions of the AIM-9L. So we had the AIM-9Li and the AIM-9L Swift. Both of these were very similar to each other in the sense that they were the same missile, the AIM-9 Lima, but with an IRCCM upgrade done to it. So just a tiny thing that I forgot to mention, that it would be slightly different than the AIM-9Ms that we would see in other nations. Okay guys, continuing to Sweden, we don't have much of an improvement that can be done over here, I gotta be honest, but there are some sources that claim that upgrades were made to something similar to the AIM-9M, you know, or upgrades done to the aircraft itself, or somebody bought other missiles. I couldn't confirm it, so I will just ignore it for now. But yeah, the Swedish would be the main nation that would lack a little bit on this regard, no matter what, I think. But research needs to be done over here to confirm or deny if they got any new AIM-9M or L upgraded or anything like that. If that's the case, the vegans should get it, you know how it is. And of course, the Israelis, we have a major problem over here. We barely have any BVR. The only BVR that we have is in this Kurnas in 11.0, right? And of course in the Shahak, but I mean, I'm not gonna even consider the Matras too much, right? I mean, it's a missile that even though it is technically a BVR missile, it's not worth to mentioning in top tiers. I mean, it's a 10.0 aircraft, right? Even the Kurnas, the normal one, it's just 11.0, so it won't even be facing the top tiers in the next major update, right? But we have the Nets and the Kurnas 2000 and the soon to be Block 40 F-16D Barak, right? And that aircraft cannot receive the Python 3s, apparently. It never used it. Technically, it never used the Sparrow, and technically, it never used the AIM-9M. So it's a problem. The AIM-9L should be the only missile, technically, that thing could receive, but with a little bit of a bending in history, like they do with Germany, for example, they are probably going to add the AIM-9M for it. We don't know about the Python 4s yet, so I'm not gonna mention it as long as it's not confirmed that it is coming, right? But of course the Nets already has the Python 3. I don't know exactly if the Python 3 was upgraded or anything like that, like the Chinese had it. Probably not, but still, the Python 3 is still one of the best missiles in the game anyway, even with an AIM-9M and R-73, so it's good enough to be there at least. And with the Barak receiving AIM-9M, it should be more or less balanced, right? Let's hope at least it's as balanced as possible. But these are the aircraft that I think should be getting new missiles, new R-73s, new AIM-9Ms, new AAM-3s, new AIM-9Ls, Swift, or the I version as well. What do you think about all of these aircraft? Do you think they should be all getting new BRs and new missiles? Or do you think adding just for the 12.3s for now is good enough, and later basically adding for other aircraft when things calm down a little bit after the patch? Remember, we have a patch coming right after this one next month, so everything should be kind of a mess, like being very quickly changed and stuff. So let's hope everything is as balanced as possible. Of course, I'm not talking too much about the US and USSR in the sense of the objective of these aircraft to be having new missiles. Is more considering minor nations. Italy should receive an AIM-9M, for example. The MatAWGs should be fixed if they need to be fixed. The Israelis should be getting their Python 4 if it needs to be that addition, or not if it doesn't need. The Chinese deserve a new missile. The Japanese deserve a new missile. The Great Britain deserve a little bit of love in these other aircraft, not only in the Harrier. The Germans deserve it a little bit of love as well. I wouldn't mind to see the German MiG-29 receiving the R-73 for now, and not the Russian 913 one. Why? Because Germany will be lacking a little bit with all these new missiles. So adding for the MiG-29 over here would help them be a little bit more competitive, right? So yeah, all for the balance, right? Let me know in the comments what you think about this, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, see ya.